Mine, Flash, J-Doll, PG Play, Anytime, Stop, Nada, Much, Slayer's Boxer, C, Bisu, Savior, 16 of the most powerful StarCraft gamers in the world, LG, Intel Centrino, GOM TV, Star Invitational.
패러다임을 만드는 16인의 정상급 파이터 경남가 김태경, 강판 페리크 연모서, GSI 김준영, 라이트 얼라이브 이재호.
Welcome back to the GOM TV StarCraft Invitational. This is Nick Tasel's plot. It's the fourth day of the tournament. That means we're in Group D, an exciting group at that. Our first match is going to be Bisu versus C. The other two players in the tournament are also GG Play and Light. The atmosphere is tense in here, and people are very excited to see this game get started. Our first map is going to be Blue Storm. It has been the first map in almost every single one of the group rounds. Bisu versus C. It's going to be a Protoss versus Terran. Bisu being the Protoss player, C being the Terran. Two top players right now, both well-known and both well-respected. It's going to be difficult to say who's going to win this. In fact, these were my two picks to get out of the group, so it should be exciting. A little bit about Bisu. He's advanced to 3 consecutive MSL finals, winning 2 MSL finals and 1 second place. He's the number 1 ranked Protoss player in Kespa and has been there since September of 2007 now. Also note he is the number 1 ranked player in Kespa overall, not just with Protoss. So this is essentially the number 1 player in the world right now due to statistics. Some things that he's known for, he does have a bit of a lack of stable management against Protoss and Terran, but he's so good against Zerg. That's really what he's known for. That's really what he sticks out for, particularly with his unit usage with Corsairs. His Corsair micro is just incredible. He's been doing things that people didn't really know you could be doing with Corsairs. He's also very well known for his Dark Templar usage and Reaver usage as well. He did just transfer to the SK Telecom team on the 18th of January. Now, a little bit about C. He has the best stats in the Pro League right now. He's actually considered the best Terran in that area. That's not bad by any means. He shows good efforts in the Pro League, but it's a bit more depressing in the individual leagues, and this is an individual league here, so that may be where he falters behind. He seems to do better when he's with all of his teammates, when he has that support. He's one of the younger players in the pro gaming scene, so that might have something to do with it. He manages his bionic units or his infantry units quite well and is known for being consistent with upgrades. He did fail to advance in the quarterfinals of both of the network leagues. That's the OSL and the MSL. His unique style of play really stands out in his Terran versus Terran and his Terran versus Zerg. So hopefully he'll be able to hold up his own against the very impressive player Bisu. And there I am, I'm on TV. I'm supposed to wave my hand. On to their overall stats. Bisu first, and that piece of paper is here. Bisu versus Terran, a 61.5% win ratio, and that is with 40 wins and 25 losses. I also just want to point this out right off the bat because this is one of the highest win percentage ratios you'll hear about. Against Zerg, he's 31 and 16. That's a 65.95% win ratio. Very impressive. On the map Blue Storm, Bisu's overall record is not so good. It's 5 and 8. So clearly this is not his best map. C's overall records versus Protoss, 28 and 19. That's a 59.6% win ratio. So both of these players have very, very impressive win percentiles on this in the matchups that they'll be playing. This means that we're going to see a very high-level game. Granted, all the games have been high-level in the GOM TV StarCraft Invitational. I think this one may stand out very much so. Also note that C's record on Blue Storm is much better than Bisu's. Bisu's was 5-8. On Blue Storm, C's record is 6-4, so he does not have a losing record on these maps. Both players very, very good. Now I'll keep talking about statistics and stuff until this game gets close to starting. It looks like both players are still working on getting their settings in there. They have not yet joined the game. They want to make sure that their mouse settings and their keyboards feel right. Everything's just as it is. Their sound is at the right level so that they can hear exactly what's going on in the game. It all has to be perfect if they're going to play well during this tournament. Bisu has won his last 5 Protoss versus Terrans, according to some of the stats that TeamLiquid.net has sent me. He did go Reaver into Carriers versus Midas on Zodiac. He went Zealots against a 2 proxy Barracks into a Dark Templar drop, and then transitioned into Carriers versus Zelos on Katrina. He went Nexus on 14 into a Dark Templar drop into Arbiters versus Berserker, also known as Iris on Katrina. 1 Great Dragoon into Reavers, then into Carriers versus Zelos on Katrina, and then 1 Gate Dragoon Expo into Reavers, and then transition into Carriers versus Up Magic on Fantasy 2. And there's a shot of him now. He did take a loss versus Zelos previously, doing when he prevented the gas steal, died in a fast push, or also known as a timing push, 20 minutes into the game before his ZT Tech had settled in, which would have helped him hold that off. He also lost to Huashin in an attempted gas steal, which forced Huashin to go Refinery before Barracks, no drops, heavy Dragoon pressure style, then teched into Arbiters, mid-game Storm DT drop, and then lost soon after the Terran took the center line. There's, as we can see on the stats, I don't know if you can read Korean, but that does say that Bisu is ranked number 1 in Kesper right now, as I said before. That makes him the highest ranked player in the world. And here is a shot of C. As you can see, he's got a warm washcloth on his nearby his table. A lot of the pro gamers feel that you cannot play StarCraft with cold hands. So they make sure their hands are nice, warm, and moist, so that they are able to have the agility with their hands that they need to maintain the high APM and the high stamina within the game. He is ranked 5th in the Kesper rating, so this is the number 1 ranked player in the world versus the number 5 ranked player in the world. 2 powerhouses, both in Group D. Very exciting. I believe, if I look at my statistics, I think C has only played 1 game, or only 1 recent win on this map. And as far as I know, that means that Bisu is much more experienced. That's going to be very tough. On a map like this, and we've seen it many times in this tournament, Protoss players tend to do the gas steal. Since it's a one-on-one map, both players know each other's starting locations, so Protoss tends to rush a Terran, steal his gas. I wouldn't say that Bisu wouldn't do that, because it just seems to be a very strong and healthy opener. C's going to be aware of this, and it looks like the game's going to be starting very soon. I believe we're waiting for the Korean commentators to finish up the introduction. So the real question is C going to be ready for a possible gas steal? What kind of tech is Bisu going to be going for? Protoss have a lot of options on what they can do with Protoss versus Terran, where it's a much more linear game for the Terran versus the Protoss. Terran always going to be going for the mech units. Only under rare and dangerous circumstances will they be getting an additional barracks and excess of Marines or anything of that sort. So the real question is, will Protoss be going for standard Dragoons? They're going to be getting a Reaver drop early, maybe Dark Templar rush or Dark Templar drop, maybe an early carrier tech. It's hard to say. And stay tuned. Welcome back. Bisu spawns as a red Protoss at the top right. And C. We're going to get a shot at Bisu first. There he is. Going over the build he has orchestrated in his mind. And here's a shot of C's base. C, ranked 5th in Kespa. A very young pro gamer as well, warming his hands up on that cloth. Again, this is a one-on-one map. This means risky strategies or more unorthodox strategies are more common, especially for the Protoss, but the same can be true for the Terran. More Koreans hiding their faces in terror of Bisu's amazing Protoss. If we see Bisu send his probe out early, and he has not, which means he will more than likely not be attempting to steal the Terran's gas. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe he will. He's sending the probe out now. Many of the Protoss players I saw playing earlier actually sent the probe out before the pylon had even started. C, with a thumbs down in his picture. Don't know what that's about. I would give him a thumbs up if he's this ranked. He's ranked this highly in Kespa. Gateway about to be produced for the Protoss. This means that if he does manage to steal the Terran's gas early on, he will have to end up getting his own gas geyser behind, and then he'll have to choose whether or not he wants to be getting the probes out earlier and risk a possible rush or what. It looks like, since C did do a wall-off build and Bisu did not send his probe out early enough, he will not be able to pull off the gas steal. He has, however, forced C to take one of his SCVs off of the barracks for the sake of production. Notice how he uses his probe to attack and then move away. I believe he's using the patrol button for that. Many people don't know this, but the hold position button, the patrol button, the attack button all make many of the units in StarCraft respond slightly differently. Like, for instance, Vulture Bikes will attack slightly quicker if you hit the patrol button. That's how you normally want to micro them if you're trying to kill off somebody's workers, because they respond a little bit faster. Whereas Dragoons, if you're microing them away from an attacking melee unit, you normally use hold position because they do attack a little bit faster with that. Since many times the attack button can cause the Dragoon to bug out and stop moving. Once the cybernetics core finishes, we'll get a better idea of exactly what type of pattern Bisu is going to be following. Bisu is known for expanding a little bit later than usual on this map. Many Protoss try to get their expansion up early on. He normally waits until he has a second gateway out before he expos. In almost all of the games we've seen in Protoss versus Terran on this map, and I'm not just talking about with Bisu, but in general, we see the Protoss Tech to carriers, due to the architecture of the map, it's much easier to maneuver your carriers around. Not quite as easy as you can on Katrina. That map's a little bit ridiculous what you can do with carriers, but nonetheless, carriers, there's a high chance of them getting that, especially if the game goes over 15 minutes. He's upgrading Dragoon range now, Bisu is. Terran with a standard build, one Marine because he walled in. Had he not walled in, he would have had to make more Marines. But this first Marine will at least be able to hold off a Zealot, which would be attacking the outside of that depot. By not making Marines, he can get that factory out a little bit sooner. It's just a certain style that he's opting to play with. Know that the Marine can squeeze through the wall in, but the other units, such as the Probes, Zealots, and Dragoons, cannot squeeze through the wall in. Nor can SCVs, but he looks like he's going to manage to save that SCV. Meanwhile, a hidden SCV up here at the top right, probably going to use that to run into his opponent's base and scout and see exactly what he's doing. Terran need to get a good idea of what Protoss does early on, because, well, Protoss has so many different options. Terran going for the fast expo. If Bisu gets a second gate, it could be a little bit tougher for him to expand, but it doesn't look like he's going to be doing that. See, carefully position his Marine so that the Dragoon cannot reach it. A few SCVs coming in here. He's scouted his opponent, seeing Dragoon range being upgraded. Bisu needs to be careful to not lose that Zealot. Bisu's not really microing that well at this point in time. C is probably going to hold off this rush. He did have to spend some extra minerals repairing, but he'll have the tank out soon that can drive that back. Nexus up now, sooner than normal for Bisu. Bisu likes the Dark Templar drop quite often. Now he's lifted off, but it looks like he's going to land again because the number of units is not that, or excuse me, it's too big. C might have to actually produce extra SCVs from the stationary command center over there. He's pushing out now, but yes, he has managed to hold off the Protoss rush, planting a few mines to catch a possible DT coming in there. C's first game on this map was a loss. Oh, nice move by Bisu, putting the pylon there so that the command center cannot land. Now C sending his SCVs over there. That will be a bit of a waste. But a starport's being made. If Bisu spots a starport, he will respond accordingly. But he has not yet. He did not move the probe. A little bit sloppy by Bisu, but the pylon planted there is pretty helpful. C actually lands his command center a bit off position from the mineral patches due to the location of the pylon. But he was wise enough to not simply let it float. He's now going to use that tank to pick off the pylon, but look at the distance that the SCVs on the bottom have to mine. That will slow him down a little bit. Now we're getting a shot of Bisu, getting a shuttle out early on. The shuttle's really necessary so that the Terran cannot push your natural in that crevice outside of the natural expo, which Dragoons can't even fit through. Now he's managed to kill off the pylon, but a small loss for C. Expanding again. Now we saw Boxer do something rather similar to this and failed rather miserably, might I add. Let's see if C can do it better than he can. Now he is going to be Reaver dropping. That Reaver drop will be much more effective because the Terran will have more expos up, and he's going to be going carriers. A very similar build to what we saw Much do against Nada on Katrina. However, this map doesn't favor carriers quite as much as Katrina does. It still is good for carriers, but a dropship's coming in here, and if he spots the carriers, this whole build could be a bust for Bisu. A bust-su. Now he's going to plant these Vulture Bikes back here. Just out of range, and Bisu does not have his Dragoons in place, and that means that these Vulture Bikes will be planting mines, getting in the way of the Dragoons, and Bisu is in a very difficult position. He's going to pull his probes out, probably to try to force the Vulture Bikes to not get too far back. However, he is killing off a lot of Vultures and has already spotted his opponent's tech. Meanwhile, the Reaver drop is on the way. The Vulture Rush has been held off, and the Reaver drop, it is now Bisu's turn to try to do some damage. Attacking these SCVs and picking up the Dragoon. Scarabs are not the smartest projectile in the game. They tend to get stuck rather often, although that kind of makes it a bit more balanced because head Scarabs had better pathfinding in StarCraft. Ravers might have been imbalanced for harassment. Now, one carrier being produced by Bisu. Again, he's going to have to do his very best to recover from the fact that C has already scouted him and already has a very good idea of what he's doing. Producing tanks right now and upgrading the armory. 2 armories, a wise decision because Goliaths are what beat carriers, but not just Goliaths, but Goliaths with the upgrades. So he gets 2 of those right away. That means he will be a little bit more vulnerable to harassment early on. However, that doesn't really matter too much because Bisu is going directly for carriers. Also, I see a Wraith out. That'll be used to try to hunt down the shuttle if any further harassment occurs. And he is already attempting to push that crevice. He will have to get his shuttle in there, but support that with his Dragoons or he will lose. And the Wraith is ready to attack that. Here he comes now. Dragoons attempting to pick off what is in their own range. A Dragoon is dropped, but a Reaver will have to do more damage than that. He's going to have to pull out again, but does he have anything to cover that shuttle? It does not look like he does. Picking up another Dragoon, but waiting for the right moment to attack. The siege tank has been pushed farther up. That'll have much more effect on the probes mining. Oh, 1 Scarab fired. The Dragoons almost got it. The tanks almost got it, and a second Wraith is put into the battle. This is a very bad position for Bisu. Once he spotted the fact that he was going carriers, he realized he could push in that vulnerable moment. Now, if he can get something on this mine, but he might end up getting the shuttle instead, and the shuttle has gone down with the Reaver in it. Bisu may lose this game. Carriers coming in now, but a dropship in the back. C is everywhere. He may end up beating the #1 ranked player in Kespa. Tank in the back going to target fire probes. If he can get some extra probes, he'll slow him down even further. And he has lost the Nexus at his expansion. Everything is going wrong for Bisu right now. This is a bad day for Protoss Terran. Already has 2 expansions up. Now immediately unsieging and pulling out. C has yet to really make a fatal error. Bisu's errors could fill a book right now. More carries are being produced, but C has more than enough time to respond. He's going to try to turn around and get these carriers to do some damage, but it looks like C's already prepared for that. He has more than enough turrets. Doesn't look like he has turrets at the expo at the top left or the expo at the middle left. Bisu's essentially attacking the wrong location. However, C was smart enough to realize that this is the direct path that the carriers would have entered anyways. Doing a nice job. If he can get these two carriers up, the Protoss will have to back out. An expansion over there at the top left. A lot of good Terran players tend to expand all over the map once they realize the Protoss has carriers, because the carriers can't be everywhere at once. More carriers being produced. Bisu in a very defensive position, trying to get his original expo back up. Picking off a few tanks, but at this point in time, it's only going to be a matter of time before C gets that 1-1 upgrade, making him very powerful against the carriers. A mine has been planted at the expansion that Bisu would like to be taking. He'll have to take that mine out if he wants to build a nexus there. However, building an additional nexus would put him in an even worse position, because he would be that much more likely to die from a push. He's expanding all over the maps, he is. Simply because he knows the fleet of carriers have to remain concentrated. If they spread apart, they'll die very easily. And that allows the Terran to take the entire map. Bisu may be getting another Reaver to help support the carriers. Reavers can take out Goliath very easily, or he may be getting the Dragoon combination. And here's a shuttle now. Now he may try to come in here and do some harassment. Terran spotted this and will probably move out and try to counterattack and push Bisu, because he knows, again, the carrier fleet cannot be everywhere, which means if Bisu does a turnaround and save his base, Bisu will lose the first round of the tournament, picking off these towers with ease. C can easily muster up enough towers to defend his main and expansion from being taken out. Meanwhile, C is about to put the killing blows on Bisu. This game will end very shortly. This army is just too big. The 1-1 upgrade is complete. That was the trigger for Bisu pushing. And regardless of what Bisu does right now, there's just too much. Terran has too much of the map. Bisu is punished too severely for allowing his starport to be, his Stargate to be spotted. Sieging up, they will be able to pick off that Reaver. Unless Bisu can control his carriers with absolute perfection, he will not be able to save his base. And it looks like the Goliaths are doing so much damage, they just take out the interceptors, and GG. Bisu is down one game. C is up one. That will help him out a lot. Bisu is in a bad position at this point in time. He should not have allowed those. He should not have allowed his Stargates to be spotted. But stay tuned. We got another game coming up soon.